Our next section is going to be the inventory control. We talked about job cards in the previous section, and we're going to continue from where we left the job cards so that I can be able to show you that transition to inventory and how that actually works. So in inventory, we are also going to get deeper into it and cover warehouses, stock sheet, stock dispatch, transfers, stock order, and stock return. After that, we'll get into purchasing and look at the purchasing side of the inventory control. So let's get back to our job card number 31. This is where we stopped on the previous job card section. And in this section, we had already requisitioned a certain part from the stock. And in this section, I want to be able to issue that part. I'm still going to use the same account. In your configured environment, you probably would have someone else doing the dispatch. So I'm just going to open dispatch in another tab. Just going back, you'll be able to see job card 31. We'll see that there's a dispatch on job card 31. So this dispatch or stock issue is where we record items that are pending requisition, and we can be able to approve them from here, and we can be able to deal with all types of inventory items. We've got two major types. We've got singular stock taking and we've got general stock taking. General stock taking is whereby you can just put in an item and just general stock arrangement. Probably I've got 50 boxes of that, or 20 boxes of the other one, or 100 kms of cable, or whatever. Singular stock taking is whereby I need to individually take stock on the serial numbers of those items, because the stock taking is singular. So in this particular case, like this is MikroTik HQ, I'm going to open the stock sheet in another tab as well so that we can be able to see it. Good. So we do have a bunch of MikroTik HQ, ST1, and that is the SKU. It's also important to note that if an item is out of stock, the requisition will tell you it's out of stock and create what you call a stock order entry. The job card will automatically do that. If you happen to enter an item that is out of stock, the job card will create a stock order, and those stock orders are what we utilize to know what are the requirements of the organization, what is out there, what is being ordered. That is what purchasing is supposed to handle. It's supposed to take the stock orders and place orders on those items, because they are actually beyond not being available in stock, they are actually being requested at the moment. So this is SKU ST1, and if we look at SKU ST1, we see we've got MikroTik HQ here, and it is a singular stock taking type. I think we probably have an issue with maybe update or something. Actually it's correct. The available items are 3 according to the quantity, and that is because I can only see in stock 1, 2, 3. The rest are actually assigned. So now that we've got our serial numbers here, I've got a fictional serial number here, AFST3. I'm going to copy that. In stock issue, they probably use a barcode scanner. So you click on the approved, you put your barcode scanner on the device, you scan. Barcode scanners, we know they're just keyboards basically. So it will just type in whatever it is that it has scanned. Input that serial number, and you hit enter. So this one is designed for speed. You can do this one for as many items as you want. It's pretty easy. So I hit enter and can be able to add that. Let me just refresh so that we can make sure that we have an updated view. You can see this one is approved and the item is issued, and I can no longer issue another one. I can only issue one. Going back, I'm just going to either fetch this to get it to update, and as you can see, now the item is issued. So I want us to turn our eyes to Afric 53, which I think we had opened. So you see here it's saying kindly attach a router. So you can do that here by punching the same serial number, or you can do it the easy way. The technician in the field that is working on this job card can just, once the stock is issued, they can actually attach to customer, and you can see job card router, that attachment to customer successful. Let's just refresh this, and you can see it's saying attachment complete. It has been attached to the customer. And what is happening in the stock? You wonder. This is the item. You see the others, the ones that are attached, they tell you. So let's see whether this one will be able to tell us whether the change has been effected there. AF, you can see here, has been assigned to that customer. So the record has been updated in the stock sheet, and a record has also been created automatically in the hardware record. You didn't have to go there and do it manually. So if we go here and we go to routers, we should find a new router here with that serial number. Down here it is. It's down here. You can see it's been created. It's just been created right now. Going back to the service account, let's refresh. Let's see what happens here. So we're refreshing that, and as you can see, the router has been attached to the account and added to our immutable record as well. So that is how job cards are seamlessly connected. And there's a topic where we covered service components. We talked about service components, and we talked about how the service components that you're adding to your service coming from the stock can actually be automatically added into the job card. So all this stuff that we just did here, this manual stuff of adding this, could have been done for us. When you go to your service and you add a router, you add a radio, anything that needs to be attached to a service account, when that service is purchased and a customer is, onboarding process has been initiated, a customer has been created, the bill has been paid, a job card will be automatically generated that includes those hardware records that you'd like to draw from the stock. You can imagine that connection is very vital, and all these modules working in harmony, one leaving off where the other picks up, and it really makes for easy management in terms of being able to organize your work. What is important, what is known is always going to be there, so that you're not going to be having these mistakes of missing that or the other one. The management becomes far much easier. So that's the relationship between job cards and the stock sheet, and that is how you can be able to move items from the stock and attach them to a specific service account, or move them from the stock, give them to the techie, they install it. That is the whole process done on the machine. The rest obviously is actually physical. So now that we looked at a little bit of the stock sheet, from the job card perspective, so let's start off afresh. Under the inventory and purchasing, you've got inventory control, and the first menu there is the warehouse. So you can't do anything on the system before you have a warehouse, and when we are onboarding you as a tenant, we will be able to create that HQ, which is the first warehouse for you automatically. So that's going to be the first one that you get. Whether you've got multiple warehouses or not, you can't operate the system inventory without having that one warehouse. That's the first point of contact. The second one obviously is the stock sheet and all its components, just like we were looking at SKU ST1. Let's first of all talk about this stock sheet page. Here you can be able to filter items based on the warehouse, the condition, the status, the make and model, and you get a summary as the default page. The summary, in the case of singular, is going to give you the titles. For instance, MikroTik that, but it's not going to give you the individual routers A, B, C, D like that. It's not going to give you that. It's just going to give you the titles. Obviously for general it doesn't really matter, because we don't store the items, we store the quantity number. There's a huge distinction right there. The next tab is stock entries. Now this is where we are going to show you the individual entries, so you can search against them. You can search serial numbers from here. You don't need to go inside a specific one to search for a serial number. You can search it from there, and it will give you a general sense of where that record actually is. Perhaps I should also talk about creation. Adding a new item into the stock sheet, you leave the SKU empty unless you've got your own. The barcode, you scan that for general stock taking type. You select a warehouse, the stock taking type, and then the entry type. This is important. This is how the system knows that whatever it is that I'm attaching is actually a CPE, a radio, or whatever. That's how the system gets to detect that. So the items which are CPEs and radios, CPE radios, and we call them CPE routers, the ones that are put inside the house, including the GPON device, those ones you have to earmark them and say that, hey, this is X, so that the system knows. You can put in the unit cost. Unit cost is what you saw as getting on the invoice when you selected store. So whatever price you put here is the price that will be able to reflect in the invoice. Restock alert is to be able to tell the system, hey, when my stock level gets to this level, alert me. And the restock quantity is something to do with creating stock orders. If you've got someone else processing stock orders, when stock gets to a certain level, should we create an automatic stock order request and notify that person, hey, we need all these items, or we need X pieces of this, so on and so forth. So let's open our ST1 SKU and look at the stock sheet record in detail. So at the very top, you do have the name and you get the quantity. You can be able to edit here some of the details. That is a stocking type, unit of measure. If you're doing cables, are you going to do feet? You probably have to do kilometers as well there to make life easier for some people. You can be able to update that record. Below that, you have the summary, and obviously this is a singular stock taking type where you have items below here. You have the stock issue, which is supposed to record all the stock issue movements. Not sure why that one is not showing us. showing up, stock issue, and then you have the stock movement, which is supposed to record what the issue has actually done. We'll probably check that. This is a development version we're using for this presentation, so probably we do have a bug there. But that is what you're supposed to get. The stock issue you just got, you're supposed to get that here. Any entries that were made for items in this particular stock sheet. Stock order are the items, the records I mentioned that you create to ask for stock, and of course multimedia if that stock has got any kind of multimedia that is involved. So going back to the inventory control, we have looked at stock dispatch, which is where we issued the items that are being requested in the job card, and it's actually going to be combining them in one issue record. I'm not sure whether we can be able to spot one that could be having multiple items, but you're always going to have multiple items in the same one, so they show up down here. It's just one stock dispatch per job card. So you've got stock transfer next, and stock transfer is basically moving stock from one warehouse, let's say HQ, to destination. So let's say that's the stock. Let's say the quantity is 1. Now we have to go and get that 1 serial number so that we can move it. So let's move 2433. Here you also move items individually. So let's enter that, and then we can be able to say that we shall transfer this one. I believe you can do more than that. Let me just confirm. HQ. Oh, I actually put 1. That's why I was not being requested to add more than 1. So if I have 2, then I could do 2, enter, and then it could ask me for another one. You see, now that one is invalid. So you can put as many as you want. So mine is supposed to be just 1. So let me create that. And once I've created that stock transfer or that one item, it's in pending confirmation. Whoever it is on the other side of that branch that is supposed to be receiving this particular item will come in, scan them again, and accept the transfer like that. And once we do that, you're going to notice some transitions. Let's refresh and see what is happening to this serial number. The serial number was that, and it is no longer here. And this is HQ. So where is it? So let's try and look for it. Let's try and go to stock entries and try to search again is the actual serial number. We see now it is in warehouse, Garissa. So this one will only be available for people who are working in Garissa, because we scope the system in terms of branches and regions. If you're earmarked for certain region or regions, because you can have multiple, you can't be able to access records from there. So it really helps in terms of, you don't end up with a device that is being attached to a customer in Nairobi, where else that device is actually physically in a different county. So that is stock transfer. Stock order, we've been talking about it here multiple times. Let's look at it. So stock order is basically a list of items that are being requisitioned. If you create an entry in a job card and it is not available, it will create a stock order request. It's going to use the amount indicated in the stock order restock level to say how many items it wants to request for. But what matters is that it creates a record and notifies whoever it is that looks at the stock order request to be able to work on them and make arrangements to get these particular items. You can actually create physical stock order requests, and this is going to be very useful towards creating a requisition. You can be able to create a stock requisition from stock order request. Perhaps we'll look at that when we get into purchasing. So inventory control, below stock order we have stock returns. Stock returns is basically going to contain information in regards to any items that have actually been returned from either the branches or from anywhere. If an item is returned, you notice that in the job card there's a condition you can set. Is this a return or what is it? So if it's a replacement, rather, you should be able to return the other item. So when you're adding another item to the customer, when you're adding a router to the customer, that is the point we actually do returns. We do replacement from that point. So those returns are going to end up here, and you're going to decide how you want to handle them. Do you want to send them back to the stock? What do you want to do with them? Do you want to render them not useful anymore? You can also be able to do that. So that's about it for inventory control, its relationship with job cards and the rest of the system. Next up, we are going to cover some bit of purchasing, see how we can also be able to bring in stock into the system, how we deal with suppliers, so on and so forth.